So, when you become an entrepreneur, things change. You have to motivate yourself. You have to have self discipline. You have to push past insecurities. You're going to have times where you feel super motivated and you want to accomplish all the things and you feel on top of the world. And then you're going to have times where you're questioning yourself, you're feeling insecure, you're asking, can I even do this? You're going to have all of those ups and downs. That's just part of the process. When you are facing those insecurities, though, you have to have a way to handle them because they're going to happen. One of the things that I like to say is if you're going to do this, if you're going to create your own business, your dreams have to be bigger than your insecurities because you're going to have insecurities. You're going to have times where you feel like you're not good enough, like you're not going to be able to accomplish what it is that you want to do. But your dreams have to be bigger than that. And you have to have a healthy way to handle those insecurities because they're going to come up. So you could literally have a game plan of how to grow on Instagram. It could be a step by step. Follow this exact process and you'll grow on Instagram. But if you don't feel like you're actually capable of doing it and you feel insecure and you feel paralyzed by that insecurity, you're not going to take any action and you're not going to actually grow and make money. So you need to find a way to handle those insecurities because they're going to come up. So one of the things that you can do to handle those insecurities is called retelling your story. So, we're going to look at old stories that we tell ourselves versus the new stories that we want to tell ourselves. So, we all have that internal voice inside of our head that tells us that we're not good enough, that people don't like us, that we're not capable, that remind us of embarrassing moments and moments that we felt insecure, and that voice that just beats us down inside. But what you have to do is you have to tackle that voice head on and change that old story that you keep telling yourself over and over and take that and change it into a new story. So, for example, if you have this old story in your head that no one wants to follow me, why would anyone follow me? Like, why would anyone care to follow me? Like, no one's following me now. Like, no one's going to follow me. Like, no one actually wants to follow me. So, because of that, I'm just not going to post because what difference does it make anyway? But instead of telling yourself that old story of no one wants to follow me, change that story to people love following me and learning from my content. Even if no one is currently following you, even if you don't have a single follower, change that story in your head and repeat that story to yourself until you actually believe that story. So, another example is I can't think of anything to post. Well, the new story could be I'm always coming up with new ideas of things to share. Another old story could be no one wants to buy my products. The new story could be my products help people so much that they keep coming back and sharing them with their friends. So we're taking these negative things that we tell ourselves in our head and we're changing it. So every time you have a thought of no one wants to follow me, instead of listening to that thought and going down that rabbit hole of where that thought takes you, you change it. So when that thought pops in your head, no one wants to follow me, you stop and you change it. Well, no, people love following me and they love learning from my content. So that's how old stories versus new stories work. And I'm going to share a little bit more about the process. So, how to rewrite your story. You take your negative story, so your no one wants to follow me, and you become aware of it. So, oftentimes we're not aware of the things that are actually going on in our own head. So, we hear these things and our actions are influenced by them, but we're not actually aware that that thought may or may not be true. So no one wants to follow me. Well, do you know that no one wants to follow you because you haven't actually even posted yet, or you haven't been posting long enough, or you just haven't given it enough time? How do you know that people don't actually want to follow you? So you become aware of that and you recognize, okay, that thought's in my head, but that thought isn't necessarily true. So you become aware of that thought and then you change it to a new story. So what is that new story? That new story is people love following me and learning from my content. And then like I said before, you remind yourself of that new story. So every time you have that old story, no one wants to follow me, pop into your head, you become aware of it. You change it to that new story and you remind yourself of that new story. So as you're going through your day, if that pops up again, oh, well, no one wants to follow me, keep reminding yourself of that news story. And eventually you will change that story in your mind so that you don't have that old story popping in your head. You don't have that negative thought of no one wants to follow me. You just have, oh, people love following me. Like, this is what I believe about myself. I believe that I post content that's valuable, that people love. They love learning from me. They thank me. They say, "Wow, thank you so much for posting this. This was so helpful for me." They send me DMs. "Wow, I'm so glad I found your page. I've been looking for this kind of content," or I feel like I've known you for forever and I can't believe that, you're actually sharing these things because this is exactly what I needed to hear. You'll get those messages and that'll become your new story and your new reality. So like I said before, like you're going to have insecurities, you're going to have ups and downs, you're going to have that voice inside of your head. That voice doesn't go away, it just can change, and you can minimize the negativity that's in your head by becoming aware of it and changing those old stories into new stories and reminding yourself of that, and eventually that will change the story completely.